simple, y'all. Sometimes we fall, but in Him we rise. Hands to the sky. Don't dare ask me why. I'm still praising. See, I was down one day, but Jesus, that's all I need to say. He reigns, you'll get it soon. Lord, you lift me up. Now how can I let go? Lord, when my life you hold. Yes, I'll keep praising, Lord, so you can truly know. I'm still praising, cause everything that I've been through built me up, and I thank you. I'm still praising, because I know, Lord, in you I'm set free indeed. Turn me up, can you hear me now? It's only one way up when you leave the ground. Yes, this is God's way music, and I hope you like the sound. But if you don't, it's okay, cause if I have to alone, I'll praise. But that's just me, I don't wanna mislead. Let me tell you this, it's been a long time coming, beat down and tired, but I'm still running. I won't stop my praise. Somebody help me say I'm still praising, cause everything that I've been through built me up, and I thank you. I'm still praising, because I know, Lord, in you I'm set free indeed. I came too far to turn around. Lord, in you I'm no longer bound. But I'm set free. Yes, every day I pray that, Lord, you got my way. Lord, please let these words I say bless me along the way. I'm still praising, cause everything that I've been through built me up, and I thank you. Praising, because I know, Lord, in you I'm set free. I'm still praising, cause everything that I've been through build me up, and I thank you. Praising, because I know, Lord, in you I'm set free. There never was a time I looked around and you weren't there. You never put me through something you knew I could not bear. You're so consistent, and Lord, I love your style. Without you, I don't know how I would ever make it, but I know you'll see me through. I'm still praising, cause everything that I've been through built me up, and I thank you. Praising, because I know, Lord, in you I'm set free. Take it up, say I'm set free. Somebody say, hey now, hey now. 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 So I'm still praising. Your breakthroughs in your praise. I'm still praising. Real loud, say I'm set free. I'm still praising. Oh yeah. I'm still praising. Oh, I'm set free. I'm still praising. Hey, tambourines and cow, work with me now. Y'all know we had to drop it off one time before we go. Cause this is how we praise in the DMV. Let's move. 5, 6, 7, 808.
God's way music.
Hello, everybody. Good evening. Good evening, everybody. Today we're going to do something a little different. Good evening, good evening, good evening. Hello, hello. Hi, Latoya. Hello, everybody. I pray that you all had a wonderful, wonderful day. Today, I want to. It was in my spirit to kind of play something that we had actually broadcast before. Um, This is we have embarked in the month of October, and we hi Clarissa, Latoya. You all share this video. We have embarked on the month of October, and the Lord put in my spirit something that we've done before, but the word needs to be reiterated. And that's this word was specifically this is what something I was doing through the journey of womanhood, but this is for men, women, boy and girl, and we're going to talk about balance on today. Hi, Tiki. Love you all. We're going to talk about how the Lord balances us and stretches us. I had did this interview with a young lady named Tasha and it was in my spirit this morning actually, and then I watched it, and it really blessed me, and I know it's going to bless you all as well. So we're going to watch this. This was a previously recorded video. Please don't get off because it's not live, but it is going to bless you. Some good evening, Angie. Some things need to be reiterated. We are in October, the month October, which is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, as well as Domestic Violence Month. And those things with women that we deal with breast cancer and things that we deal with on a daily basis are things that we the weight of being a woman, or just being a person, just working, taking care of your family and all of that. I want to talk to you all about balance on today. I had titled this broadcast about growth and God growing us and stretching us. And that's when he tried to teach us a different way to live, a different way to handle ourselves so we can be healthy, so we can be happy, so we can be well balanced. So I just want to show this just really short video for you guys on today, just so you all can. It's going to be a great word as well, and then I'm gonna come back at the end. Okay, all right. Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody. I am co-pastor Michelle Limes here, and you have reached the journey of womanhood conversations with her. I'm so excited, you guys. I am so excited. We have a mighty woman of God, execution strategist. The Tasha Mayo is in the house on tonight. Listen, you all don't want to miss these wonderful tips, life wisdom, life nuggets of wisdom that she's going to be giving us on tonight, talking about our balancing ourselves, ladies. Self-care. Come on. We need to make sure we are balanced. We got to take care of ourselves. If you look at the statistics, especially Black women, we are the forerunners of heart attacks and strokes. Why? Because we aren't taking care of ourselves, whether it's eating, whether it's exercise, whether it's your spiritual self, whether it's your emotional self. Tonight, y'all, we're going to talk about it all. So if you all grab your girlfriend, share this broadcast. It's going to be good tonight. And I'm excited to know that this young lady is coming. She has an awesome testimony, and she's going to talk to you about that. And you all just stay tuned. God is good. I'm telling you, it's going to be awesome on tonight. I just want to introduce to some and present to many, Miss Tasha Mayo.
Tasha Mayo, the execution strategist, founder of Body by Tasha, and owner of BBT Fitness Haven, has coached thousands of people through their personal transformation journeys as they renewed their minds, increased their energy, maximized their productivity, and were healed from fatal diseases. In her role as the execution strategist, Tasha Mayo's passion is to help new and aspiring women and entrepreneurs to launch thriving lives and businesses. Tasha, affectionately known as Coach or Tasha, is a woman of God, mother of 2 amazing young men, business execution strategist, avid fitness enthusiast, and personal trainer. Ladies, please welcome Tasha Mayo.
Hi, Tasha.
Hello there. Hello, everyone.
Yes, I'm so excited about you being on with us tonight. It's going to be good tonight. I'm super, super excited. I'm just getting some stuff straightened out over here. But listen, you are a mighty. I'm glad when the Lord put you in my spirit because you have a lot to say. You are a woman of example. You have a lot of wisdom, and I'm super excited about what you have to offer for the women on tonight. They are on here, they're ready to listen, and I'm just listen. This woman of God, she is not only a trainer, but she's also a life coach. I've been knowing her for years. She has a wonderful she have a website by the name of Body by Tasha. You all need to check that out. And even her services that she has on that website. I'm gonna go ahead and let you flow, sis. I will be interjecting just to ask you a couple of questions, so the women will even have more wisdom, more nuggets of wisdom that I know that you're going to give.
Yeah. So first of all, I am super duper excited to be here. It was such a privilege and an honor to receive the invitation and then to learn more about this platform that you have and the journey of womanhood. You know, I was sold by the name because it is indeed a journey. Oftentimes people become to a certain place in life of success, if you will, and then they just hang out there. No, it's a journey. Life is always evolving. And it's evolution. And so as life evolves, so should you. Yes. And so I am super excited to impart in the women and men for that matter, because men are certainly a part of the journey as well. In fact, they are the force of the journey. And so I'm super duper excited to impart in both women and men this evening with regards to the journey, the evolution of life from the inside out. Oftentimes people live from the outside in, and they should be living from the inside out. Yeah. And I'm just ecstatic to be here to share that with everyone.
Awesome. So tell me how did you start your journey of womanhood? Let's go back some years, and how did you get, what motivated you to get into fitness, to self-care, to learn how to balance? I know you have 2 boys that you're taking care of. How do you do it all? I mean, honestly, you have your own business, you're an entrepreneur, and you have your sons, and you take care of women. That's your ministry. So how can you just give us some history about you, just so we can see what your motivation, what pushed you to where you are now?
Yeah, absolutely. And I love that you said self-care, because oftentimes people lean to fitness, just the physical aspect of self-care. But self-care is wellness, mind, body, soul, and spirit. It's a 4-part being, and oftentimes the other 3 parts are left to fend for themselves. And so I got started in this process of losing over 103 pounds in 2009. No shots, no shakes, no surgery. And I'm very intentional about sharing that, not to shame those that have surgery, but to let people know that it is an option to do without surgery. Yes. And so I lost over 103 pounds in 2009 as a result of my journey into womanhood. I was in a place in my life that I literally looked myself in the mirror and said, how did you get here? I was at my highest 271 pounds. I was at the peak of my career. I had climbed the corporate ladder, but then I left myself behind. I gave everyone else my best, and then I was left with the rest, and I was exhausted by then. And so when I looked in the mirror and asked myself, how did you get here? I literally had a come to me moment, and I began to see how, in fact, I got there. I began to see that I allowed everything and everyone to be priority, and it was at the sacrifice of me. And so while exterior, everything looked amazing, interior, it was not. And so I cried out to God and said, God, I need your help. Literally, oftentimes people don't bring God into the process, right? They look to other things, they look to other people, but God needs to be your first resource. First of all, he is the source, but you need to look to God to be your first resource. And so in doing that, I said, God, listen, I need to do something that I can do the rest of my life. I was very clear that I didn't want a quick fix, because quick fix comes back quickly fast.
Come on now.
And so,
That's
you know,
right.
we typically do what those around us do, you know, those that influence us. And so my mom had back gastric bypass, and it was in the waiting room that I decided to do something about my weight as well. And so I want to stop for a second and let's talk about the waiting room. Oftentimes when people are in the waiting room, they just wait. No, you don't wait while you're in the waiting room. You work while you're in the waiting room. And so while I was sitting there in the waiting room, I began to consider my way of escape. And so for me, it was my mother choosing to have gastric bypass. That was what she needed to get her to the other side. And it was what I needed to at least stimulate my mind to do something different. And so I did. I reached out. I went to orientation about the gastric bypass surgery, and it literally scared me straight. But here's the thing. I had no history. I had no mentorship. I had nothing around me that represented fit anything. My entire family wasn't, until this very day, are obese. And so I had no models around me to show me the way. And so as I went into the orientation, it scared me straight, but I still followed in the process of going to the weight management classes for 6 months. Okay. And in that, I began to lose weight, so much so that the nutritionist said, if you lose any more weight, you will no longer qualify for the surgery. And I'm kind of fast forwarding the story along. Yeah. But fast forward, I no longer qualified for the surgery, but I was still obese. And so I had to become a student of health and wellness. And I'm very slow and intentional in saying that, because it's a two-part, health and wellness, because you'll see some people that look healthy, but they aren't well. Yeah. And so health and wellness should be married. And so in becoming a student of health and wellness, I began to see that there were some deficiencies on the inside of me that carried much more weight than what I saw physically. And so that's where my journey to womanhood really began, because as I began to dig deep and dig up the root of some things in my life, I began to see what was triggering the weight. Because here's the thing, weight is never about what you're eating, but what's really eating you. And so as I began to dig up the root, I began to see what was really eating me. And then I began to rid the weight from the root.
Now, oh my, okay. So how did you get to a place? Because I know you said your mom was the driving force in the beginning, and then you had to make up your mind on what you wanted to. What were you juggling at the time of your life? What was it that, what did you feel that was your triggers? Because you said something right there when you said the triggers, and that is so true, because we when we are triggered in something, we find ourselves diverting back from the thing that we're trying to get forward to. We're trying to press forward, but we divert back. So where were you mentally? How did you change your mindset? Because I know it's mind over matter. So how did you change your mindset to be able to overcome your triggers and to overcome the things that were eating you?
Yeah, I love that question. And here's the answer. Oftentimes, and you hear mind over matter a lot, like it is overused in this day and age. And so it's not always just mind over matter. It is renewing your mind, the way you look at food. Listen, we eat, drink all of our emotions, whether happy, sad, mad, or glad. We're going out, sitting, hanging out with our girlfriends, and we're eating. And so you have to identify what that is that's driving you to eat what you're eating and when you're eating it. And so for me, I was climbing the corporate ladder. I wanted to get to the top of where I was at that time in my career. And it was by any means necessary. I recall going to work at 9 a.m. and sometimes not leaving until 12 a.m. And for me, it was what it took for me to get where I wanted to be. Not realizing that while I was getting there physically, I was creating so many deficits on the inside of me. Because as you know, when you're giving your all physically, then you're not giving your all internally, mentally, socially, emotionally. In addition to that, I had a whole family at home, a husband, children, a mortgage, everything at home that was depending on me. And so I was giving myself to all of these things and leaving myself behind. And so I had to begin to renew my mind. I had to first rewrite my story. I had to reprioritize how I did things, and everyone else was at the top of the list except me, if I was ever there. And so I began to put myself at the top of the list consistently. First of all, with what I was eating, with how I was eating. I never changed what I was eating initially, but just how I was eating initially. And so here's the thing. You don't need another diet. You need discipline. You need discipline.
Yes.
And so it's all in the discipline. And so as I begin to discipline my mind as it relates to me not needing 2, 3, and 4 portions and 4 and 5 and 6 Pepsis at the time, I should own stock in Pepsi as much as I drank it back then, I began to scale it back, so much so in a way that I could control it and not feel control. Because here's the thing, especially for us in the African-American community, the woman is always the nurturer, and they're the person that typically holds it down for the family. And so in that, it comes with a level of control, which sometimes gets out of control. It's displaced in several different areas. And so as a result of that, I had to renew my mind, even as it relates to control. You'd be surprised how much control is attached to your weight. Oh, they're not going to tell me what to eat. They're not going to tell me what to drink. I'm not that. That's control. And so when there's discipline to control what you're eating, you're out of control.
Yes.
And so I had to begin to disciple my discipline. We disciple everything else, but what about your discipline? And so I had to begin to disciple my discipline. I remember being in church one day and I loved sheet cake, birthday cake. And so I would go to the store and I would buy a whole sheet cake, and it was nobody's birthday. And I would literally over a number of days eat the entire cake. And so I remember sitting in service one day and my pastor said, "You don't want the whole cake. All you want is a taste." And I said, all I want is a taste. And so I began to apply that principle to every area of my life. And so sheet cake began to not even be an issue because all I wanted was the taste. And so then I began to apply that to food. All I want is the taste. Does 2 cheeseburgers taste better than 1? No, it tastes exactly the same.
That's right.
And so it's applying those principles consistently over and over and over again.
You know, Tasha, you said something that really stuck to me as well. And this is kind of tying into the Superwoman mentality.
Yeah.
A lot of times, us as women, because we are needed in the family, and we do for everybody, and we put ourselves, and you said it, we put ourselves last on the list, if on the list at all. A lot of time, especially us as Black women, we have that Superwoman mentality, that Black strong woman mentality that nothing gonna break me, nothing gonna break me down. I can do it all, you know. And a lot of us have grown in households watching independent, strong women do it all. So then we learn that as little girls, and then growing up, we take on more than we should because we aren't taking care of ourselves. So can you just talk about how to get out of that thinking It's almost a stigma, because we find, and I'm talking to me tonight. Listen, I'm being
yes.
We do, and then before you know it, you tired, too tired to do this, too tired to do that for yourself.
Yes.
And that's not God's plan for our life. He said that he wants us to have life and have it more abundantly. So can you talk about, and you said something on your post, you said the misconception of the Superwoman, and that spoke volumes to me. So can you speak on that as the women continue to just grasp everything that you're saying tonight, because we don't even know that we have a Superwoman status a lot of times. We know just who we are. Oh, I got to do it. I got to do this. I got to do that. But is it really that we feel that we need to be the Superwoman, or do we need to be needed?
That's it. Come on here. Yeah. And so there's a need to be needed. And so it's the myths, the methods, and the misconception of the Superwoman. And you nailed it on its head when you said it has been something that has been passed down for generations to come. And it's seen as being strong. It's seen as I must do. But in fact, what it is brokenness.
That's it.
That's what it is. It's brokenness. And so when you feel like you are the only one that can get it done, that's a misconception. Yes, I often tell my clients that I am not Superwoman. I am supernatural, and Superwoman is a demotion.
Come on, say that again.
A Superwoman is a demotion. It's a demotion. I am supernatural. And so when you begin to put caps on God with things like Superwoman, when it was something that he never, ever called you to do, but you put yourself in this masculine role to do, God has to step back and allow you, because he never gave you the capacity to do it. And so you have to unlearn those behaviors. You have to unlearn what we saw growing up.
Yes.
There is nothing attractive about being burnt out and broken.
Come on now.
Absolutely nothing attractive about it. And so you have to begin to unlearn those behaviors and let the help you. Here's what I mean by that. We are always given the opportunity to have people assist us, and then it's not received. No, let the help.
That's right.
Let the help help.
Let the help. And I had to learn that, transparent moment. I had to learn that in as we started pastoring, and the Lord had to really, he checked me on it actually. Like, when people come to do or to serve, they might not do it the way you do it.
Yeah.
But as long as the bottom line meets, it's connected with the vision, that's all. I can go to 7-Eleven. I might just go down the street and make a left. You might go around the corner, then down the street, then make a left. So the journey might be different, but the destination is the same. And one thing I've learned for my own life about the Superwoman status, and I know when the Lord gave it to me, he was talking to me, was learning to say no.
Yeah.
Learning to say no, or say I can't.
Yeah.
Or not always be available. And a lot of times this can go for your kids, your husband, family members, and people that always pull on you. And sometimes you have to take a time out for you.
Yeah, amen.
Sometimes you have to take a time out for you. So okay. So in your journey, I know you said that you had you lost about 100 pounds. And that was how was that whole transformation for you? How did that change your mental? I know it changed your physical, but how did you go through that with tenacity and with determination? And how did you go with that with discipline, and the key thing, consistency?
Yeah. And, I want to, just mention that you have said a few times that you're being transparent, and that this was for you initially when God gave it to you. And so here's the thing: transparency transform. And so when you begin to be transparent with yourself, you will transform. And so as I started on this journey and began to see the deficiencies that were on the inside of me that I did not like, when God began to tell me that there were things in my heart that I buried alive that still had a heartbeat, and that I needed to deal with them so that they could heal before I could go to the next dimension in my life. And not just in my life, in the things that he's called me to in life. And so as I began to be transparent, I began to transform from the inside out. I often say that people see the 103-pound weight loss, but there were millions of pounds that were lost as a result of my transformation. It was in the times where it was just God and I. I remember God specifically saying, I was having an adult tantrum, and you guys know because you have them now. You probably had one earlier today. And I was having an adult tantrum, and God said, it is not just about you. Like enough already with you when you're whining and complaining and murmuring. And I said, talking back, as you know, our children do, I said, well, God, who is it about? Because right now it's just you and I.
Yeah.
And so God, in his loving way, he ignored me, as we do sometimes with our children, like, okay, girl, I'm going to give you some grace today. And so it's always been my heart. It's always been my heart to please God. And so as a result of that word, even in my frustration, I continued in the process. And so it was continuing in the process that I began to heal from within. Too often people get to a point where they feel like they have no more, and they break instead of breaking through. It's a part of your process. It's a part of the journey. And so there were times where I lost 20 pounds, and then there were times where I gained 20 back. And so I see often where people say, well, I didn't lost 20 pounds and I gained it all back, so I might as well just keep going. No, if you're going to keep going the right way.
That's right.
Don't go back to where you came from. Don't go back to Egypt. Keep going the right way. I would remember preparing for a marathon, and we were doing 8 miles that day. And so my partner that I was running with, we had already ran out 4 miles. And she said, Tasha, I have got to go back. I'm exhausted. And so, I was a little disheartened, but I got to keep going. This is my race. And so as I continued to run, God said, she has to go back 4 miles anyway. So why not keep going in the direction of the finish?
Yeah.
Go back 4 miles anyway. And so I shared that with you guys. Where you are now, if you go back, you got to go back that same mileage anyway. So keep the steady course that you're on. Don't get distracted by what it looks like. Don't get distracted by what it feels like. The growing comes as you go. But you must go. God will never give you something sitting on the sidelines. It's the going that you grow. I tell my clients, swim or swim. Forget about sinking. Just swim or swim. Just swim or swim.
Swim or swim.
So it's in those moments where I lost the 20 pounds, gained 10 back, lost 30 pounds, gained 15 back, as that I developed consistency. Because here's the thing. I could bet on me. For so many years, everybody else was betting on me. For so many years, I was the one that was called to clean up. They used to call me the clean up woman. I was the one to come and clean up the files and the records to get properties in order. And so everybody knew they could bet on me. Call on Tasha, she will get the job done. And so this time around, I decided to bet on me myself. And so I tell that to every woman here, bet on you. Everybody else does.
That's
you
right.
Bet on you. You take the risk for you because you're already taking the risk for someone else. Why not allow it to be you, to get on the other side? God said to present your bodies a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable. Not just a sacrifice, but a living sacrifice.
Yes.
And so God is giving you these dreams. He's giving you these gifts. He's giving you these amazing assignments. But can your health keep up with it?
Come on now.
Can your health keep up with the assignments that God has given you, that He has put on the inside of you? It is our responsibility to not just maintain, not just sustain, but to make sure that our temple is in optimal care. That's our responsibility. So we have to make sure that we are consistent in the processes, not by what it looks like, but knowing that there is an expected end. And here's the thing. Some of you guys have no expectancy. Who's pregnant and don't have an expectancy date?
Come on, sis.
Give yourself an expectancy date. When are you expecting this thing to come to pass? Give yourself a date. Where there is no expectancy, there will be no consistency. There's nothing for you to continue because you don't know what you're doing and where you're going. Right? And I often think about Jesus, that he endured the cross because of the joy. Tasha, Michelle, Lisette, Clarissa, the joy. We were the joy that was set before him, that he endured the cross. And so what joy is set before you? That you'll endure the cross of your health. And I'm not just talking about physical, because some of you guys are already physically fit, but what about mentally fit?
Yes.
What about soulishly fit? I say it like this: is your soul whole, or is it full of holes? There's a difference. Are you walking around looking whole on the outside, but looking like Swiss cheese on the inside? What is the joy that is set before you? What example are you setting for the generations to come? Right now, I am working on my great grandchildren so that they can come and live out the legacy with no stress, no strain, no struggle as a result of the work that I did. They will no longer have to look around for a quick fix as it relates to health and wellness, because their great grandmother, Tasha Mayo, not only paved the way, she created the way. And so what way of escape are you creating? Are you a curse, or are you a blessing to the generations that's following you? And so you have to be open and honest with who you are and where you are. And that's where I was in that process. I was open and honest, sometimes brutally honest with where I was in order to get to where I need to be. And here's the thing: I'm still growing. I'm still developing. Better is always available, and I'm going to get it. And I tell God like this: if they don't want it, can I have theirs, God?
No, that's right. No, that's right.
If they don't want it, don't waste it. Can I have theirs?
It's wonderful how you and as women, we are really invested in our families, our children, and everything. And a lot of times, I know for me, my aha moment was when my granddaughter was born, and that was the time I had reflected within myself and said, okay, Michelle, not co-pastor. Okay, Michelle, what are you going to do so you can see this little girl graduate from high school, graduate from college? If she goes, get married, have children, longevity, what type of example are you going to set before her? And that totally changed me. It really did. It really did, because it made me reflect on things. And a lot of times God will allow things in our life to make us reflect on, because you cannot conquer anything you don't confront.
Amen.
So you have to confront those things, those flaws, those stigmas within us, so we can move forward. And the same way we're investing in everybody else, just like you said, we have to invest in us, How do you, so let's talk about, I know that you were climbing the corporate ladder, and then you stumbled on entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
So
I love this question because it's so funny. I had absolutely -0 desire to do anything in health and wellness. I literally saw myself retiring from real estate management. I had a 22-year amazing career in real estate management. I didn't have the testimonial of most entrepreneurs that I hated my job, so I had to go become an entrepreneur. I absolutely adored my job. I loved what I did. I loved my staff. And so I saw myself retiring from real estate management. And so it was when God began to do the work on the inside of me, and I surrendered. Now you hear what I said there. When God began to do the work on the inside of me and I surrendered, so I had a part to play in the process. And so as I began to heal from within, one of the ushers, at my church, he said, you didn't just lose weight physically, you also lost weight spiritually. And initially I was offended by it. I was offended by it. And so I had to sit with that later and said, he is absolutely correct. And
Yes.
so not only did he see it, other people began to see the transformation from the inside out. And so they began to reach out, like literally walk up to me and say, I've seen your transformation. Not somebody on TV, not somebody that they're not sure about their story, but they seen me lose this weight over a 14-month period. And they said, I want help. And so I began to help people. It was a hobby. It was fun. It was something that I wanted to do, and I can repeat it back because I went through the process. I always tell people to make sure that you understand what it is that you're doing, so that if you ever have to do it again, you can repeat the process. Hence the reason why I've never, ever gained 100 and any pounds back, because I created the blueprint and I know how to do it.
Yes.
And so in that, God began to tell me that this was what he had for me to do, and that I would retire from corporate America in 2016. So he began to give me a 3-year exit strategy. He told me to write my freedom letter and email it to myself. And listen, some of you guys are on here and God has told you to do some things. There's some burning desires that are on the inside of you. You guys have wanted to leave your job. Begin to write your freedom letters. It's an open-ended resignation letter that you write to yourself. Put it out in the atmosphere and make all of the world come in agreement with you. And so God began to tell me to write my freedom letter. He began to tell me to go to certain places, and relationships just begin to develop. And so every step that he told me to do, I was obedient. Obedience is the covenant connector, and I obey on demand. Let me say that again. I obey on demand. I don't care what it looks like, what it feels like. When God says it, it settles it with me. And so as I began to do that, I began to see this wellness business growing so much so to the point that I forgot when the direct deposit would hit. My staff came to me one day and they said, Tasha, our checks didn't hit, and we need to know what's going on. I had no clue, because I had stopped even looking at direct deposit because my fitness business had grown so much. And I said, okay, this is something on this. And I said, God, have your way. What is it that you have for me to do in this business? And so as he began to continue to unveil and tell me what to do, and telling me to open up, a brick and mortar fitness studio, the place where he told me to go and start building relationships, that's the person that already had the lease, the lease option available. So it was no stress, no strain, no struggle. I literally walked in because they already had the connection. And here's the thing: when it's God, there's no stress, there's no strain, there's no struggle. If there's stress, if there's strain, if there's struggle, it's you that's in the driver's seat, and you need to get over in the passenger seat. Right? And so you'll hear people say, I jumped out on faith. First of all, you don't jump out on faith. Faith is faith. So you don't jump out on faith. Okay? You need to make sure that you're listening to God and not listening to your emotions and your subconscious. Right? And so I never had any stress, never had any strain, never had any struggle. And so that's how I entered into the space of entrepreneurship. I've always been an entrepreneur. I've done so many things. But that's where I entered into the space of entrepreneurship in the industry of wellness. And so as a result of entering in the industry of wellness, then the branches begin to grow on the tree. Remember, I said earlier that you have to go in order for it to grow. And so as I entered into the space of, fitness and health and wellness, I began to see a huge gap in my clients, right? God has given me the discernment that when people enter my space, they come for fitness, but they're actually coming for a spiritual overhaul. And it's just the Gentile bait that God used. When they come in, God gives me the discernment and shows me exactly what they need. And so in that moment, I began to minister what thus says the Lord. And it's never churchy or what most people will look like. It's marketplace ministry being handled in the earth. And as a result of that, I began to see bridges that I began to see gaps, that people wanted to get in shape, but they weren't well. And so there was a disconnect with their mindset. There was a disconnect with their root system. There was a disconnect with learned behaviors. We talked about this earlier, that goes back to the 8-year-old that needed to be connected. And so as a result of that, then the personal development was birthed, right? And then the business development was birthed. But it all came as a result of me being obedient with the first thing. Oftentimes people have 10 different things, ideas in their head. Be obedient with the first thing. Right. And I guarantee you the branches will grow from the first thing. Mm-hmm. So that's how I entered into, this entrepreneurship of health and wellness. And that was in 2016. I retired, gave my freedom letter, and I have never looked back.
So, okay. So now you've shifted to entrepreneurship. How, and you still have your boys, mm-hmm. You still have yourself.
Yeah.
How did you balance it all? And I'm sure there were other things on your plate. So how do you effectively balance it all? Not only balance it all, but continue to operate in self-care for you, because now you're in a place where you're pushing wellness to other people and you're ministering to them and you're being there for them. How do you juggle all of that and still have those I call them me moments? How do you juggle and still have those me moments for you to grow, for you to continue to be well and balance your own life? How do you do that?
Yeah, first of all, you asked some amazing questions. So thank you for driving this interview. And so here's the thing. I don't balance anything. Balance is not real, right? Okay. And so it's alignment. I have alignment, divine alignment, right? Because here's the thing. Something is not going to be prioritized somewhere, right? Yeah. So some days it's the kids, some days it's the business, some days, it's my friendships. There's never ever going to be any balance every single day. So you have to denounce the thought of balance. Okay. There's priority. And in the priority, you let those people know what priority you're in on these days.
Okay.
In each day, the divine alignment comes with me being at the top of the list. And so I start my day off very early. I'm a morning person. And so I start my day off very early, and it starts with me. I saturate myself in things that are well.
Yes.
I saturate myself in things that are well because I impart. And so anytime you're imparting something, you're taking away. And so I have to make sure that I refuel on a consistent basis. And I do it every single day. I'm very clear to let people know the rules of engagement. And that includes my children. I have 2 children, one 23 and 27. My 27-year-old has special needs. And I only say that not for sympathy because I don't need it. But I only say that to let people know anything else beyond that is an excuse. My 27-year-old has to be bathed. He has to be lotioned down. He has to be dressed. He has to be fed. But the work still goes on. And guess what? No stress, no strain, absolutely no struggle. It's all about prioritizing. And so by the time I even get to him, I am already full in the overflow. And so I never give out of capacity. I always give out of overflow. You said something earlier about saying no. No is a complete sentence. No.
That's right.
It's a no. It is a no. And so when you say no, when you have things already in place, you will never get out of place. And so I am first on my schedule, and I do not cancel appointments with me.
Come on, you girl.
I don't cancel appointments with me.
Yes.
So when my friends call and say, "Can you do so and so at this time?" And if it's out of alignment with an appointment that I already have for me, no, I have an appointment. I can do this time. If that doesn't work, we can schedule for another day or another time. But I never ever cancel appointments with me.
Making yourself a priority.
Making yourself a priority. And here's the thing, you'll be surprised what 5 minutes will do. I was talking to my business clients on Saturday during our mastermind, and I told them that when I was working in corporate America, I would train my clients at 5 a.m. I would train myself. I would come home, shower, get my son ready, get him off to the school bus, and then I would come and have a seat with my cup of coffee for 5 minutes every single day. And so you do 5 minutes over 30 days, over 365 days, you have well over 500 hours that you have made you a priority. It adds up.
Yes, it does.
And so you got to start where you are with what you have and then grow thereby. But I'm investing in me first. I don't look for balance. I look for alignment.
That's good. Somebody hashtag or just put, I don't look for balance. I look for alignment. That is so rich. Yeah. I don't look for balance. I look for alignment. And that is so, oh, wow, girl. Yeah.
And you got to put your family and friends on notice. Oftentimes, you know, I see people that get disgruntled, they get frustrated. And here's the thing, I can relate because I've been there. Yeah. But here's the other part of it is that we don't tell our family and friends what we're doing. Right. And so when they come and they require things of us and we can't do it and they don't understand because we didn't put them on notice, now everybody mad. No, put them on notice. Let them know. I remember when I began to, you know, build my business, I told my family, I need a 1-year run. What did that mean? We're not going to be able to do all that we used to do. Give me 1 year and I'll be back. And they gave me that 1 year. They understood the rules of engagement. And they helped me in the process. And so you have to put your family, your friends, your spouse on notice. Let them know what you're going to do. I ask people often, does the family know your vision or are you harboring it to yourself?
Wow, that's good.
Your family should be able to rattle off your business at a moment's notice. The Bible says to write the vision, make it plain so those that read it can run with it. But if you're not writing it, if you're not sharing it, they can't run with anything. And then you're mad. And then you're mad.
Yeah.
No. Put them on notice. Share. You know, I say it like this. They say friends don't let friends drive drunk. Neither should friends allow friends to live unhealthy, unwell lives. Put them on notice, invite them in, give them an opportunity to participate in your processes. My friends, my family, and even in my household became better as a result of my example. My son went off to college, and instead of gaining the freshman 15, he lost a freshman 45. Why? Because he saw his mama do it. He saw his mama be disciplined. And I did not pressure him to do anything because more is taught than taught. And so when he went away to college, he had some of the same experiences and didn't even know. He said that he looked himself in the mirror and didn't like what he see. Mine was, I looked myself in the mirror and I said, how did you get here?
Yeah.
And so it repeated itself, but I gave him something to work with.
Yes.
And so you got to put your family and friends, your loved ones on notice about what you're doing and where you're going. And they will support you. And those that won't, let them. Don't try to pull people with you.
That's right.
Those that choose not to go shouldn't.
Yeah.
And there shouldn't be any ill feelings about it. Some people are baton carriers. They're there just to pass the baton to get you to that next place. And then some people are marathoners. They're going to run with you to the end. Be grateful for both of them. Be grateful for both of them.
Ooh, you're talking good tonight. I mean, real good. Listen, so so we've talked about the misconception of the Superwoman. What would you say to the woman that feels as though she doesn't know how to navigate through dismantling these preconceptions? She doesn't know how to talk to her family about what her vision is for her day and for her process. or she doesn't, what would you talk to the woman that's been doing it for so long that she hasn't gotten to a place, or she don't see the richness because she's never experienced it of doing these things? I hear what you say, and this is the woman talking. I hear what you say, and that's good for you, and that's good for the next person. But you don't know my family.
Yeah.
You don't know my husband, or you don't know my kids, or you don't know, the things that I am holding or the things that I'm carrying. What would you say to that woman, just to push her to at least try something different, to renew her mind, so she can see the benefits and the wealth and the richness of prioritizing yourself? A lot of times we, again, and I keep going back to our childhood, because I saw grandma work tirelessly for the family. I saw auntie do the same thing. But now we're in the era where we have to learn to be the best Michelle that I can be. I have to prioritize me.
Yes.
And the only way we can prioritize ourselves, like you said, is to renew our mind. So what do you say to that woman that feels as though she doesn't have the resources or the tenacity to do those things?
Yeah, and so I would tell her to lean not to your own understanding, and in all things, right? God is very intentional in his word, in his promises. He said that in all things, lean not to your own understanding, and in all things acknowledge me. So often people acknowledge themselves. It's as if you and I were in one room, you saw me and I saw you, and I kept moving. I never acknowledged your presence. And so the same is so with God. When there's situations that are going on in life, we don't acknowledge God. We don't allow him to come in and provide the way of escape that he's already created. And so I would tell her to lean not to your own understanding. It's your understanding. It's your belief system that you think that your family can't be penetrated. Guess what? Their arms are too short to box with God.
Come on now.
And so you have to surrender the process to him and not be a little G in your own life trying to make somebody do something that you want to. What did God say?
That's right.
What did God say? And then detach yourself from the outcome. It's our responsibility to give the opportunity. It's up to them whether or not they take it.
Say that again.
It is our responsibility to provide the opportunity, but it's up to them whether or not they take it.
And I don't mean to interrupt you, but that is so true, because a lot of times as women, we try to play God.
Yes.
So we're trying to change.
Going back to that control.
Exactly. Control. That's right. We're trying to change people's mind, change the way they live in their life, change. I don't care if it is your kids, who it is, but that's what you really means when you say let go and let God. And a lot of times when we keep our hands in it, we are slowing up the process, because when we put our hands in it, God backs up.
Yeah. Yeah. God doesn't need our help. He needs our obedience.
That's it.
That's it.
That's it.
And so when you stop being the little G in those situations, you'll see the outcome that you've always looked for.
And it takes patience. And the main thing, it takes trust. This is a trust issue.
Yes.
It's totally a trust issue. We all believe God, but do you trust him enough to let him do it, and let him do it in his timetable when it comes to other people, and allow God to do something in you so we can be the better versions of ourselves.
Correct. And I call that judge your judgment. We're so quick to judge somebody else, but judge your own judgment. When you be in a place of judgment, of looking at somebody, flip that on yourself and see how it feels. If you'll have the same judgment, you won't. Judge your judgment. Detach yourself from the outcome. God says that it all works together for our good. Let it.
And what we miss a lot too, Tasha, is knowing that even if it's your children or someone you love, they have their own journey too.
Yes.
And we have a tendency of interrupting their journey, trying to be the savior.
Come on.
And God is saying, I need you to step back and because I know what it's going to take to change them. I know what it's going to take to save them or whatever. But you said that the judgment part, that part there.
Yeah.
Sometimes us as women, especially mothers, grandmothers, we desire more for our kids.
Sure.
But we forget our journeys to get to where we are now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
we stay in the first word, right? And I always revert back to Abraham. If Abraham would have stayed in the first word, he would have killed. He would have killed his son if he would have stayed in the first word. And so you got to make sure that you're open to hearing God in this season, in this time. What is God saying? One of the things that I do on a consistent basis as my children evolve and go on their own journeys is I ask God to show me how to parent them in this season. Last season is not going to help. So God, show me how to parent them in this season. Same thing in my relationships. God, show me how to be their friend in this season. Last season, they needed me to be their coach. This season, they maybe need me to be their mentor. Next season, maybe they need me to be their friend. Show me how to be what they need in this season.
Come on now. And you know what? And that is so true, because everything is always evolving. Everything's always moving, always changing. So I had the same prayer. I have a 29-year-old, he'll be 30 this week, and I have two 24-year-olds. Okay. So God had to teach me how to parent an adult.
Correct.
That's a whole different mantle.
Oh, different.
Listen, than parenting the teenager or parenting the child, and God had to literally change my view of them.
Yes.
Of them, and seeing them as an adult and not as children. And that was I'm gonna be honest, that was a hard process for me.
Absolutely.
Because I wanted to be in control. But this is what I found out as a parent. The more control I'm trying to be in their life as adults, the more hurt I'm gonna be.
Come on.
Because I'm not in control anymore.
Yes.
And they're in control, and think they're in control, and allow God to control their life and go from there. All I can do is set the stage, and you can either take it or you're not. But guess what? I'm still here, whether you fall or if you rise. I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah, and what we have to do as parents is trust what we put on the inside of them to bring forth the harvest that we expect. Too often we sow seeds and never go back to reap the harvest.
Talk about that right there.
Yeah. No, right. No gardener plants seed and never go back to harvest their crop.
Yeah.
So the same is sowing the lives with our children and or our relationship, because you have some people that don't have children, and they may say, oh, well, I can't relate to that. I don't have children, but you have relationships. And you've sown seeds in your relationships. And so go back and get your harvest in those relationships. Don't be a lazy sower. Woo! Don't be a lazy sower. And so all of this is the journey of womanhood, because you don't just become, you become because of everything around you that imparts inside of you. And so that's environment, that's relationships, that's spirituality. It's a whole conglomerate of things that processes the journey of womanhood.
And it's a journey. It's a journey. A journey means you're not stationary. A journey means you're moving.
Come on.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're always moving. You're always learning. You're always being renewed. You're always evolving. And in our journey, there's some things we're going to pick up and some things we're going to put down. And what the Lord is teaching me, has taught me, and is still teaching me, that every hiccup in my journey was purposeful.
Come on.
Every failure, every setback, everything that I thought was the worst of my life was really the best of my life, because it taught me my life lessons that I had to learn to move forward. I have a question for you. So how do you detox your day?
That is a good question. I'm telling you, you got the questions, girl. And so here's the thing. I detox my day at night, right? And so the day rise to me, I never rise to the day. And so when I lay down to go to sleep, I command my day for the next day.
Come on, lady.
Right? Too often people allow the day to rise to them and dictate what they're going to do today. In the words of my son, Eric Mayo, not me.
Come on.
Not me.
Yes.
I command my day at night. So the day is already preparing for me as I sleep. And so God gave us dominion over the earth. Act like it.
Come on.
Stop allowing earth to have dominion over you when God gave you dominion. And so I detox my day at night.
Yeah.
So this is the thing. With detoxing your day at night, if something shows up that you didn't command, you send it back from whence it came. It has no authority, has no access. You didn't invite it in. So send it back and stop receiving it.
Yes. Ooh, girl. Oh, I'm loving this. I'm loving this. So, and the reason why I asked that the question is because you're in a position where you're a trainer, you deal with people all day. I'm sure they're telling you their issues, their problems, what they're going through. And sometimes we have a tendency of harboring or holding other people's stuff, you know, and we make their stuff our stuff, you know, and not actually unloading it. There's a metaphor that I use a lot, and I always ask people, would you allow, if you had a house in a backyard, would you allow the trash truck to just dump their trash in your yard? And they said, no, of course I won't do that. Okay, well, Monday came, he dumped a little bit. He just maybe put a paper plate, and then on Tuesday he put another little thing in there. Then on Wednesday he put some cups in there, and on Thursday he put a little bag in there, and on Friday he put some spoons in there, and on Saturday he put some. Before the end of the week, the whole truck has been dumped in your backyard. And so really you did allow the enemy to dump everything in your backyard. So because of the type of work that you do, and it's the same, different, but you know, we hear people's stories, we minister to them in the best way that we can. How do you take it off of you and just give it to God, and not find yourself worrying or putting yourself in a position where your spirit is altered, or you're not empowered the way you were that morning?
Yeah, I love that again. And so I trust God, right? And so when I enter in, I am literally entering in with the trust of God that it's already settled. He said that he's given me everything that pertains to life and godliness. And so why would I take on something that he's already given me? That's first. And then second, I only allow my clients to go around the track one time. So we don't have pity parties. Go around the track one time, get out what it is that's going on, and let's fix it. Let's deal with it. Let's heal it.
That's right.
And finally, I come in full. I come in with overflow. So I never enter any session at capacity.
That's right.
So that's when you begin to hold on to people cares. That's another thing. Thank you, Holy Ghost. When you begin to hold on to people cares, is because you're at capacity and you have nothing to give them. So now you're taking on what they have instead of casting it with them. God says, cast your cares. I'm not the sea to receive your care. Right. And so I never allow cares to be casted on me. I help you cast your cares.
That's so good. That's so good. Yeah. And we do that as women. We do it not just to people we're ministering to. We hold things through our family members, people that we love that are going through certain things. As we wrap this up, I just want you to speak to the women on consistency. And I know you spoke about it, and when you kind of tied it in with discipline, but a lot of times our issues are consistency. We get on the high horse for a couple of weeks, and then when things don't happen or not as fast as we expected, we kind of slow down, and then we kind of drift back into the old mindset. And God wants us to renew our mind daily. Paul talks about, being, putting my flesh, denying my flesh daily, every day, not just every Sunday or Bible study or when I'm at the gym or whatever the case is. This is not a diet. This is not something, this is not a season. This is a lifestyle change. And can you just talk to the women about the importance of consistency, especially as we dismantle the superwoman status that, they pump right now because you're talking real good, but what happens on next Tuesday? What happens on Friday? So let's talk to them about how to stay in this vein here, how to keep themselves motivated, how to keep themselves on the top of their own list, not just right now,
Yeah. Yep. And so give yourself grace.
Mm-hmm.
Give yourself grace. Like there are going to be times where you didn't finish something that you wanted to finish, and it may look like inconsistency. Give yourself grace. I always thank God every day for new grace and new mercies. And then I also thank him that I give myself the same grace that he freely gives to us. And so in whatever it is that you're doing and you're beginning to apply consistency to it, give yourself grace the moment that you're not consistent and get right back on track.
Mm-hmm.
Own it. Whatever it is that didn't happen, own it, but don't take up residence in it. Don't sit in it. Own it and keep it moving. Just give yourself grace and get on to the next thing. But be consistent in giving yourself grace. You must. Oftentimes people get off because they judge themselves. And then judging themselves, they begin to tear themselves down. And then shame comes on, and then they just wallow in it. Don't. Yes, I acknowledge it. Sometimes I'm like, oh, I blew that.
Yeah, I've said
I blew that.
Yeah.
And I get right back on. Okay. I never sit in silliness is what I say. I never sit in silliness. So God doesn't sit in silliness, so why should I? The very things that I'm judging myself on, God is like, what you talking about? Mm-hmm. I threw that thing in a sea of forgetfulness, and I suggest you do too. Mm-hmm. Give yourself grace. Don't allow people to hold you hostage where God has given you free reign in. Mm-hmm. I'm going to say that again. Don't allow people to hold you hostage where God has given you free reign in. Acknowledge it, certainly. Yes, I did that. But then you keep moving in the destination, in the joy that is set before you every single day.
Listen, you have been a total blessing on tonight. I know all the women are blessed. How can they get in touch with you? How can they connect with you and what you're doing?
Yeah, and so it's Tasha Mayo across all social media platforms, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and they can also send me an email at TashaMenterprises@gmail.com. Again, TashaMenterprises@gmail.com. There's also a website, bodybytasha.com. That's Tasha with an O, bodybytasha.com.
Amen. Listen, you have been an amazing contributor for tonight. I'm just so grateful. I was so honored that you were able to make it. Listen, I want us to be a blessing to this woman of God. We're going to sow a seed, and I want to call this seed a renewed mind. We're gonna have, because to do these things that we talked about on tonight, it takes a renewed mind. We have to have a renewed mind to be able to get to this place in dismantling the superwoman, to get to the place of not balance but aligning our lives to what God has for us, getting to the place of self-care, getting to the place of having me moments, walking in the door already full, already have those times that you are prioritizing yourself on your list. and not putting other people on the back burner, but we have to put ourselves first. We have to make sure we do what we need to do for ourselves. So we're going to lift the $30 seed on tonight, and just because of the fact that we're going to sow a seed into our own alignment, our own prioritizing us, our own self-care. Because you know what I've learned, ladies, when we don't do for us, we're not really, if we're giving 10% here, 50% here, 20% here, what are we giving to ourselves? And when you really think about it, the other things that we're giving to aren't really being effective either, because we're not in a place of being effective. We're not in a place of wisdom. We're not in the place of energy. We're not in the place of prioritizing ourselves. So we have to get to that place. Listen, I am so blessed and full from this woman of God. She is an amazing, amazing woman. She is a trainer. She's an entrepreneur. She's a speaker. I call her minister. She's and she's speaking the word of God. Listen, we are going to sow the seed to Journey. The Cash App is Journey of Womanhood 1. Journey of Womanhood 1. If you had any tips as we close out, and don't forget you all to sow the seed so we could be a blessing to this young lady. She is, I've been knowing her for years. She's always been consistent in character, always been consistent in integrity. And check out her website, www.bodybytasha.com, right?
Yeah.
Bodybytasha.com. And if you had, before we wrap this up, if you had any tips, just as a recap for women to just kind of hold on to, what would you say to them tonight?
Go and grow. Go and grow. I guarantee you that if you go, God will begin to give you the downloads to grow. But you have to go, right? When you look at all of the journeys in the Bible, when you look at Noah, he had to go on the word that God gave him. He had to go looking crazy among all of these people on a word that God gave them. And as a result of him going, his entire family, his son's wives, so that's now in-laws, were blessed as a result of his obedience to go.
Yes.
And so the same with you. Go, and you and your household, generations to come, will grow. Go and grow.
Go and grow. What a wonderful way to end this segment tonight. Go and grow. Listen, when you sow that seed, hashtag I'm going and I'm growing.
Yes.
Put this thing in the present tense. We are getting ready to move. Look, we are entering into the spring season, which means it's time to shed, it's time to renew, and it is the time to allow God to do a perfect work in you. Listen, ladies, whatever God has spoken over your life, I don't care if you fail, if you have flaws, guess what? That word that he's spoken over your life still stands. That promise never went anywhere. And listen, all we need right now is to make sure we are in alignment, to make sure we we're taking care of ourselves, making sure that we recognize that our body is our temple, and that we are allowing God to bless us, mind, body, and soul. Come on. And when we do that, he will make ways for us. He will open doors for us. He said that he will give you the desires of your heart. Sometimes God does not throw it at us right away because we're not ready.
Correct.
We're not in alignment. We're not in position. So let's get in position, ladies. This is the time now. We dealt with this COVID thing. We were in a position of stillness. God has been speaking. He's doing some new things in us. I want to see some books written. I want to see you all to be entrepreneurs. I want to see you climb the corporate ladder. Whatever God has for you, it is for you. And I don't care what position you're in right now, whether you have a job or not, whether you're on unemployment or not. Guess what? What he said about you is still active and living.
Yes.
So God is going to do he's doing a new thing. I'm telling you, I'm so excited on you all's future. Give on tonight. Don't forget to sow a seed. We are sealing the deal with the seed of renewing our mind. We're sealing the deal of for the seed of allowing God to give us divine godly wisdom, and not only give us wisdom, we walk in the wisdom that he gives us, and be active and allow God to do what he has to do in our lives. Listen, I love you all so much. Tasha, you are amazing lady. I thank God for you and your gifts.
Likewise.
Ministry. You have been doing it for years. You have God has just blessed you. I love you so much. Thank you for coming on tonight. And listen, you all, we're going to be back here on next Tuesday, same time, same place, the journey of womanhood. Next Tuesday, we will have Dr. Kim Lee. She is a co-pastor for her church Forward, and she's also she has a makeup line. She is a celebrity makeup artist, and she's going to talk to us about her journey. We're going to talk about confidence. Come on, because we have to have confidence in ourselves, because the Bible says that we can do all things through Christ. So we have to know that our strength comes from God. Come on. So what God is going to do in our lives, I would love to see you all next week, same place, same time. And listen, you all have a wonderful day. And just like what Miss Mayo say, go and grow. Love you.
Yeah.